Recently, my parents had to move. And if you've ever moved, whether it's across town, across the state, or across the country, you know this. Moving is not just about boxes, it's about information. Endless information. Utility accounts, forwarding mail, addresses, logins, paperwork. And somewhere in the middle of all of that, you realize something surprising. You carry an entire ecosystem in your head. You know your address without thinking, your zip code, the fastest route to the grocery store, which light takes forever to turn green. You don't consciously study these things, you just absorb them over time. That is, until you move. I was home for Christmas before my parents relocated, and my mom was trying to memorize her new address, specifically the zip code. And for some reason, it just would not stick. Now, a zip code is 5 completely random digits. No story, no context, just numbers. And random numbers are usually pretty hard. So I did what I always do. I broke it apart. My brain works pretty well with numbers, but not because I memorize them what I would call the right way. I memorize them a bit of a weird way. See, I took their zip code and I split it into 2 digits and 3 digits. The first 2 digits, they reminded me of the number of a US president. So I thought, okay, that's President so-and-so. The last 3 digits, they were really close to a 737. So I thought, it's like a 737 airplane, but smaller. So in my head, their zip code became a president in a smaller 737 plane. Then I said this out loud while we were standing in the kitchen. And my dad just kind of stared at me and said, "That makes absolutely no sense." And I said, "Well, let's test it." So I asked my mom, "What number is President so-and-so?" And she answered. "And what's the airplane I talked about?" And she answered that too. So I said, "Now, what's your zip code for your new house?" She said it perfectly. And just like that, it stuck. She still remembers it that way. Now here's the important part. It doesn't have to make sense. And that's where most of the time I feel like we get stuck as adults. We think our systems have to be logical and clean and structured and textbook ready. But your brain doesn't care if it makes sense. It cares if it sticks. And if I need to remember a number like the number 12, the first thing my brain thinks of might be 12 clowns. And guess what? It's going to be 12 clowns. Does that make sense? No. Will I forget it? Also no. If I need to remember 737, my brain says airplane. Now suddenly the number 12737 becomes 12 clowns flying a 737. Is it ridiculous? Absolutely. Will I remember it? Every single time. So here's what I've realized. As kids, we're brilliant at this. Kids associate everything with everything. They'll connect a math problem to a Bluey episode, a spelling word to a dinosaur, a number to the number of cookies they wish they had. They don't worry about whether the information belongs in the quote-unquote right bucket. They just connect it. And somewhere along the way, we decided that learning, it has to look serious and organized, adult. We filter out the silly. And in doing that, we filter out something powerful. Play. Your brain loves novelty. It loves images. It loves emotion. It loves ridiculous connections. And when you give it something unexpected, clowns and airplanes and presidents, it lights up. And here's the best part. You're not bad at memorizing. You just might be trying to memorize in a way that doesn't fit your brain. We say things like, I'm too old. My brain doesn't work that way, or I'm just not good with numbers. But what if the problem isn't your brain? What if the problem is you stopped letting it play? Some of the most efficient systems I use feel really silly, especially when I tell them to other people. I often joke that laziness equals efficiency. If I can make something easier on my brain, why wouldn't I? Say the number that you're trying to memorize in a British accent. Turn it into a song, make it a cartoon, break it into absurd pieces. It doesn't have to impress anyone. It just has to work. And maybe that's bigger than zip codes, because life is full of what we call adult task. Forms and passwords, appointments, responsibilities, they don't always seem or feel fun. But nothing says you can't make them a little bit lighter, a little more fun. So the next time you have to memorize something random, an address, a phone number, your blood type, try this. Let your adult brain step aside for a second. Let your kid brain take over. Make it ridiculous, make it visual, make it playful. Let your brain show off what it can do when you stop over managing it. Because you might discover something. You're not forgetful. You're not incapable. You're not too old. You just need 12 clowns and a 737. And it might just do the trick.